People who work for the super wealthy. What stuff have you seen? Story 1. My brother-in-law builds custom homes in the redneck Riviera belt of Florida. One day he called me to come over to this 15M beach house he was doing a complete remodel of. He was the original builder. He asked me to bring my truck and trailer. I show up, and he walks me through all 4 floors. He then says, "The owners have removed all the stuff they want to keep. She has told me to dispose of everything as I see fit. Get what you want." Furniture, appliances, outdoor furniture, rugs, lamps, artwork, you name it. I don't know the value of everything I took home with me that day, but it was the highest-end stuff I've ever seen. 4 floors of it, and I only got 1 trailer load because I simply couldn't fit anything else in my house. I likely had over $20K worth of furniture and appliances on that trailer. Story 2. Not the craziest thing, but wild to me. I was working for a kind of well-off family during a summer. I went inside to get a drink, and the mom was cleaning the kitchen, putting things away and such. She picks up a MacBook and says to me, "Hey, do you want this?" No one uses it. Got a brand new MacBook for college. Story 3. My friend is a mechanic. A wealthy, overweight, famous, and all-around unlikable entrepreneur came into his work one day and took a liking to his coworker. He asked my friend's coworker to come and work for him maintaining his car collection. It was really good pay, and he got to work on some cool cars, so he thought, why not? His days were spent working on old, rare sports cars on his sprawling property, but every now and then he'd get sent to Europe or the United States to check out cars said entrepreneur was interested in buying. He'd get sent to auctions all the time and ring up said entrepreneur while it was happening so he could bid on the car on his behalf. If you can figure out the country I'm in, you'll 100% know who it is. Story 4. I did carpentry for a summer to save up money for school. We would go to huge mansions and amazing houses that needed work done. Usually easy stuff, decorative things. So most times it would be 1-2 days of work. Most times we would work. The family would be home. It's not a problem, very normal. Once a family had kids and they watched a TikTok video on what poor people eat, and it was about how to cook things like 10-cent ramen and bread with sausages to make hot dogs. They laughed and thought it was fun, so they made the food to try in the kitchen. They hated it all. This was the food I grew up eating my whole life. That packet of ramen was the same as the dinner waiting for me at home. Story 5. The owner of my company had a customer pay off a giant debt by signing over a yacht to him. When he went to the marina to get the storage info transferred to his name and saw how much it cost to store the yacht there, he bought the marina. Story 6. Worked as one of 4 full-time groundskeepers at a large estate. 46 acres of lawn to mow twice a week. 2 clay tennis courts, 3 pools, 1 for the main house and 1 for each of the 2 guest houses. 100-plus acre private lake with a boathouse. No clue how big the whole estate was, including the woods. Personal favorite was the 3-mile personal racetrack. But what really blew my mind was that he hosted his niece's wedding one summer, paid $350K to have this massive willow tree trucked in and planted by the lake for wedding photos, only to pay another $50K to have it removed and the landscaping returned to its original state after the wedding, because he did not like the look of it. Story 7. Had a client come into our 3D printing office. His attention was immediately caught by a large industrial 3D printer in our showroom. Pulled out a credit card and bought a $250K machine on the spot. Best part was when we installed the machine at his facility. First thing he wanted to print was a meter-tall statue. Few weeks after the install, we got a photo of him standing next to the meter statue. Money well spent. Story 8. The CEO of the company I worked for was the founder's son. Not an unintelligent guy for the most part. His dad made him start with the most basic jobs in the company and work his way through the different departments. Managerial staff was ordered, upon penalty of termination, not to treat him any differently than a new hire. So when he became CEO, he wasn't a bad guy to work for. Now this is a company of over 10,000. One night, I'm working overtime on the late shift, and we get this call. "Hey, you guys got electrician?" The guy is clearly drunk. We have no idea who it is or why he's calling our maintenance engineering group. We ask who he is, and he informs us, lightheartedly. He wants someone to take a ride to his house and figure out why the internet isn't working. This is an hour drive away. I volunteer. I was bored off my nut anyway. I get to the house, the entry gate is smashed, a section of the white horse fencing is gone, Jaguar is stuck in the field. Here in the house is the boss, completely blasted. He's got a huge cut on his hairline. "Are you okay, boss?" "I'm fine." "Why?" he asks, blood literally caked on his face. I accompany him to the bathroom and help him clean himself up, wash off the gash and put some bandaging on it. Then I corrected the internet. Unplug plug. As I'm walking out, he asked me to do a shot with him. I comment, worried about my job, that it might be a bad idea. He agrees and hands me the bottle. Take it home and do a shot later. Keep it. When I get back to work, I look the stuff up. Never heard of it. It's a $1,500 bottle of scotch. The next day, I'm at work early. About 11 in the morning, he comes walking up. We're not going to be talking about last night? I tell him it's all good. Awesome. A little bit later, I get an envelope. There's a check attached for emergency tech support, $5,000. Story 9. Worked in recruitment finding crew for super yachts many years ago. Put forward a candidate for a chief engineer on a very well-known yacht owned by a very well-known individual. Was the perfect fit of knowledge and experience, and the guy was super friendly and nice as well. They turned him down because he wears glasses and the owner doesn't want anyone with disabilities working on board. Story 10. I did a male nanny job for a rich couple who wanted someone to care for their kids. The wife didn't want a female nanny, and I was in college, so it helped pay the bills. One day they asked, "Do you want to go to Hawaii?" Turns out the company that the husband was the COO of was doing an executive retreat in Hawaii. Instead of finding daycare in Hawaii for their kids, they thought it'd be easier to just pay for me to fly to Hawaii, care for the kids during the day, and then have my evenings or their family time free. So I went to Hawaii on their dime, had my own hotel room. They paid me for my time and gave me a large stipend for my own food entertainment. I ended up with pretty much every evening off, so I got to spend it. During the day, I brought their kids to the beach, we went hiking and did some touristy running around. On top of that, they gave me $5K in spending money, in case any of the kids wanted anything. I had to show receipts, but when I tried to turn in the receipts, the wife just said, "Oh, don't worry about it, it's only a couple grand," and never verified how I'd spent some of that money. I couldn't tell if she just trusted me implicitly by that point, or if she truly thought the amount was so small it didn't matter. They were a really nice family, just very well off, which made just spending money on any problems the easiest answer. I actually got invited to the oldest daughter's high school graduation because she considered me a friend. Story 11. I briefly cleaned houses one summer, and these houses were insane. Some had elevators, some had stalls in their master bathroom. One had a literal cave manufactured in the bathroom with shower heads all throughout it. You could walk from one end and come out the other side of the bathroom, split by a massive hot tub. What struck me as odd in almost every house was the sense of disuse. They had grand pianos covered in dust, expensive lamps and throw pillows with the tags still on them, sprawling playrooms with every toy any child could want, totally devoid of playing children. The weirdest house I cleaned, though, wasn't huge and it wasn't gorgeous. It was pretty normal on the outside, but inside, the entire house was filled with piles of clothes everywhere. I pulled aside my fellow cleaner and asked, with all sincerity, how to clean this house. She told me to go around the piles as best you can. They had a mountain of clothes in the living room, like something out of a cartoon. Every couch had stacks of brand new clothes with tags on them. They were the only folded clothes anywhere. In the bedroom, it was the same. Smaller piles in every corner, couldn't fully open or close doors around them. The kids' bathroom didn't even have a shower curtain. Best guess after cleaning that house as best we could is that they don't wash clothes. I think they just buy more and discard the dirty clothes into the piles. I think about that house a lot and wonder if they ever got their act together. Story 12. Bartending at a fancy party in a very wealthy older couple's house, where these people had art on display they had bought from museums. I was working in a room where 3 walls were glass, and you could see this beautiful manicured garden with sculptures. When the sun started to set, these big floppy-eared white bunnies started to appear and frolic around the yard. I asked someone who worked in the house about the rabbits. The rich people bought them as a garden feature. Every once in a while, they had to cull the rabbit population. The rabbits were decorations. This was also the night when I was making an older man a drink, and he decided to ask me, "So, what are the less fortunate people doing tonight?" Story 13. I used to work at a members-only golf country club. There were members who had been actors, athletes, race car drivers, former CEO of Google, some major money and egos going on. There was one family that had 3 teenage kids, 2 girls and a boy. The mom and the girls were very attractive and knew it. They always looked amazing and had overly entitled attitudes to match. They were fancy. Well, the lady who washed the linens for the county club also did house cleaning for some members. This family was one of them. She said their multi-million-dollar home was a disaster filth zone. They basically did no housework in between having the cleaning lady there. Dishes piled with dried food that smelled, dirty clothes thrown everywhere, piles of stuff all over, sticky floors, dog poop left on the floor. But the nastiest part was the bathrooms. She said they wouldn't empty their bathroom trashes, and the ladies of the house would throw their used tampons on top of overflowing trash, so she had to pick up their used women's products thrown on the floor, not even wrapped in paper. So these entitled individuals would walk around the club like they were so superior and look down on everyone, then would go home and act like wild animals throwing their trash and period products on the ground. The thought of being so out of touch that you decide it is beneath you to even be sanitary because you can just pay someone to do that for you is just beyond insanity. Story 14. Redid a lady's shower one time during the middle of a nasty divorce. The shower was 6x10 with the entire ceiling covered in shower heads. Since he was off with half the office, I figured I'd get the other half all in here. Lady was generous. $500 tip for everyone who worked on that bathroom because it was her ex's money. We redid the glass to her shower when I was at a glass shop. How the actual plumbing and stuff worked is beyond me. My job was to bring in giant panes of glass, attach them to the wall/floors, waterproof the seals, and leave. With how large her house was and the other two smaller houses that were attached, I'm sure she had enough money to throw at someone to solve those plumbing problems. Story 15. Their kids, all young 20s, never shut the door when using the bathroom. Plenty times while cleaning the house, I'd walk past the bathroom and see one of their daughters on the toilet. They'd often wave or say hi. Odd. Story 16. I was the project manager for a mansion build for one of the founders of a major health insurance company here in the US. This guy was one of, if not the best billionaire I've ever worked for. He showed up nearly every day in shorts and flip-flops and would treat all of us like equals. This was around the time that President Obama was about to put out Obamacare. I was in a meeting with the owner, and President Obama called him on his cell to discuss the plan. He, the owner, tells us to hold on. The president is calling, to which someone jokingly made a comment about thinking he was joking. The owner asks Obama to say hi to the team, and he did. It was surreal to be at the table with him when the call came through, and an experience I will never forget. Story 17. Had a client who purchased a newly built penthouse apartment and wanted a jacuzzi on the balcony. It would have meant a structural column was needed in the middle of the balcony below, which the contractor who built the apartment block wouldn't go for as it would impact selling that apartment. Client buys the apartment below, approves the column, jacuzzi is installed, then privately sells the apartment below. Voila, problem solved. Story 18. I am a dentist and used to own a dental office in an extremely wealthy area. I feel like really rich people come in two flavors, very humble and generous, or just 100% a hole. Most are the a-hole, not much in the middle. True wealthy people care a lot about time, not money. If there was any hiccup in a procedure or something wasn't correct, they would flip out. 99% of the issues they would flip out about I could fix, but that meant they had to make another dentist appointment, which wasted their time. I hated working on rich people. Best day of my life is when I sold that dental office. Story 19. I've done side at work for various CEOs dozens of times over the years, and there's always common threads. It's always been male CEOs, and they genuinely seem relieved to have someone in their house that isn't trying to negotiate or weasel something from them. They'll sit and talk with me, ask my career plans, how I got into the field, and that kind of thing. The wives of said CEOs are all eerily similar. Lots of makeup, very strong opinions, very cold, and very standoffish. The garage always has at least one classic car, one sports car, and one car lift. There is always a golf cart on the property. The kids' rooms are always a mess. One guy was in an 18-plus room mansion and his teen son had a mattress on the floor with clothes piled up everywhere. I had to hook up some wiring in there and it smelled like his foot was in my face. If there's a dog or cat in the house, it's the most well-groomed animal you've ever seen. They always have a van service to come out once a week or so for grooming. Any mess will be blamed on the cleaning lady. She either hasn't come or missed something, even though I didn't notice a mess in the first place. They tend to have the best of everything from stores, vendors you don't normally see. One CEO had a custom German sound system installed in his game room, which featured a bar, a snack bar, theater seating, cafe tables, and 2 fridges. The interface on his entertainment system was also custom made, and all the TVs in the house used the same interface. I've seen a glimpse of very sexy lingerie, leather straps, and chains hanging in closets. Freaky stuff happens. I'll always get an invite to go on a boat ride, plane ride, golf trip, whatever they're into. These invites aren't real. I think they do it to remind you they have toys. That's all I can think of for now. Ask me anything might jog my memory. Story 20. Did appliance repair. One lady had a 10x12 walk-in wine cooler, floor to ceiling stocked with wine, in her living room. Another person's house was made of imported stone and had a library the size of a 2-car garage. My favorite was an old lady who just had nice stuff. She took care of what she had. Every time I went, she gave me $40 for a nice beer with your lady. I would always refuse, but she insisted and was basically the typical granny everyone would want. Story 21. Never work for millionaires. They're just trying to prove something. Work for billionaires. They know what they want and will just pay what it costs to get it right. A caretaker getting paid 6 American figures for keeping up a multi-million-dollar house that gets used 2 weeks a year.